Hi, I'm Matty Dawes. I'm the 2018 Daiwa Pole Fishing Masters champion. I've brought you here today, Tunnel Barn. We're on the high pool, and I'd just like to talk to you about tactics and little tricks I've learned over the years to get you them few more bites. Today, I focus on two areas of the peg. When you're on a lake, you don't want to attack the venue with loads of different options, loads of different baits. You're there to concentrate two areas, work them, catch them as much as you can. So today I'm just going to fish casters, shallow out there, because everyone knows caster shallow is brilliant F1 tactic. You can be aggressive, the fish come up in the water, you can do a weight quickly, but I'm also going to fish down the margin, but I'm going to do a little bit different. Everyone fishes normally ground bait or meat with some pellets as well. I'm going to fish throw maggots, so I feel like it draws a lot of fish into your peg. So you can draw a lot of fish into your peg, but if you need to concentrate, you can. So you're just drawing fish into your peg all the time, which makes it, obviously you're going to catch more fish if you're drawing more fish into your peg. So they're the two areas I like to look at. With caster shallow fishing, a lot of people think there's different little tricks the top anglers use. It's simple as it can be. You've got 3 rigs there, which I like to set up. I've got a rig for in between 1 foot and 8 inches. That's the first rig. It's a dibber. I like to use a dibber because everything from 1 foot to 8 inches is a positive bite, so I like to use that with 18 hook as well. The other two, I got 2 of the same float that just set. One set at 18 inches and one set at 2 foot. So with working these depths, you've got a whole lot of area covered. With casters, a lot of the fish tend to be a lot more shallower because you're making a lot more noise with your feed. You're making a lot more noise, so the fish tend to come up in the water higher. Other than like if you're using maggots, they'd fall through the water, so the fish could go up and down. But with casters, they like to come in that much of water, and they're the rigs to use. All my shallow fishing, I use orange hydra. I know it's graded less than pink, but it seems to power up quicker. I don't know whether it's the inner core on it, but that seems perfect for F1s. I've got an 019 mainline. It's dead stiff because you're slapping your rig all the time. If it's windy, you want to hold your rig still. With my shallowest rig, I've got a dibber, which is a Preston Pink 4x10. These are great little floats. They haven't got much of a bristle, so you can dot them normal, but they look like they're dotted down, so the resistance on that. That's just shotted with a number 11 under the float and a number 8 on the hook length. I do it this way because I feel it's aggressive and you can flick your rig in, it's fishing straight away, because you're fishing in 8 to 12 inches of water. There's not going to be many fish in them column of water, so you want to get it in there and get fishing straight away. That's down to a 3-inch hook length of 013. All my summer F1 fishing I use 013. I don't feel it's necessary to use anything less. The fish are feeding aggressive, but you still got enough there that they won't be line shy. And then it's just down to an 18 Super LWG. They're great all round shallow hook. They're nice and sharp, and I like the coating because they don't rust in your hook box if it gets wet. The second rig, these are both similar, these 2 rigs. I'll just talk about one, but that's just a different depth. Same again, orange hydra, 019 mainline. I've got an RW Slim though on this one, as this only takes 4 number 11s. I've got in here, so it's nice, and when you're throwing for the water, it's coming through. Nice slow fall in the top 18 inches. That's again, there's a bulk on the hook length. That's all, just straight down. And then the same again, I've got an 18 Super LWG to a bait band. To start my peg off, I just like to feed, probably when I'm fishing caster shallow, feed it for 40 minutes to an hour before you go on it. This way you start on the edge. So you're aggressively feeding probably 20 to 30 casters twice, every 3 or 4 minutes. Just keep it trickling and get a volume of fish there. Telltale sign that could be fishing your peg is when the bottom starts bubbling up. Fish are going down rooting, but there's a lot of fish in the area because they're all moving and competing. I think the key with fishing shallow is grouping your bait. if you can keep your bait in, like, imagine a little tunnel, that's what you've got to keep your bait in, and there's less area the fish the chance of coming in and out of that. They're coming into that tunnel of bait, so that's key as well. So if you can practice grouping with your catapult or even throwing properly, that is probably the biggest key I say to shallow fishing. There's also ways where venues allow, you can tap the water with your pole to mimic your feeding. So you could feed once, flick your rig in, feed again, not get a bite within 10 to 15 seconds, just give it a few taps. Sometimes it goes, if not, just repeat the process again. It's all about, with shallow fishing, it's all about getting in the rhythm, but there's little tricks where you can hold onto your float, drop it in, like if it's not gone, just lift and jerk it, so there's a fish in your peg, it'll see it and snatch at it, and tapping the water as well. If you tap the water, some people like to tap the water continuous, but that doesn't mimic a fall of bait. If you tap it like you've just fed, fish are going to come into your peg, but there's only one hook bait, which is yours, and it just results are amazing. I like to start my fishing in the edge in, I'd say about 2 foot of water is about right to start with, just to see how fish are feeding. If they're feeding confidently, you can come up. If they're feeding less aggressively, you can go down the shelf. With this fishing, I like to use a white hydra in a shallow kit. It's a white hydra elastic. I've got 019 mainline. I like to always have a back shot on my rigs. It just stables the rig more, I feel. Then I've got just a carbon 4x10 float there, and then I've just got a bulk at the moment, but you can vary. This is the thing, the beauty about it, you can vary. If you can have a bulk and one dropper for days where they're feeding a bit less aggressive and you need to catch a fish on the fall up the shelf, or if they're feeding in like 18 inches of water and the tails are coming out, you can bulk it, get it in, catch one, throw your bait. When you're fishing the maggots down the edge, you can just feed 20 to 30 twice. I always like to feed twice. It's 2 columns of baiters. Sometimes I believe that the first column might not even get to the bottom because of silverfish. You do get a lot of silverfish in your peg to start with when there's not many F1s, so you want to make sure there's enough bait for carp and F1s to come in, mop up. Another thing I like to talk about is when you feed twice, people forget that these silverfish can go down and then you might need to feed again. So a lot of the times you'll go in, you'll feed, you'll get a liner and then you won't get a bite, just feed again. Try and draw one down to your peg, into your bait. Hook bait is simple. It's just 3 inches again on a size 16, no 13. Just either, I always have to put a red maggot on, I don't know why, it's just a little thing I have to put on. It's either double red or red and white, or 2 whites and a red. When some carp in your peg, you can catch them like that. If you're struggling, where you're throwing, you say you've gone in and caught 5 dead quick, but you think you've spread your bait out, you can always just pop a little pot on, fill your bait up, take your bait right on your rig, and then that'll give a little area for fish to come round. When they're picking up the loose offerings, homing on yours, you'll get a quick bite. That's always best when you feel your peg's fading, when you've caught like 5 or 6 fish, and then you got to think about it. If there's 10 fish in your peg, you catch 5 straight away dead quick. The other 5 are a bit more cagey, there's more bait for them to graze over, so you want to concentrate them on a certain area of feed. And the beauty of it is if the fish are feeding well, you can come up into a foot, 18 inches. If they're feeding less aggressive, just stick your plummet on, drop back down the shelf, and you're covering your options, but it's just how it is on the day. You have to make the decision what you think it's going to be like. Like today, obviously here it's like it is good, the tailing up down the edge, so we'll have to fish a bit shallower. But days when it's, say, coming out of autumn, going into autumn, sorry, or coming out of spring, they might be in like 3.5 foot, so you might have to fish a bit deeper. But as the session goes on, you can come up into the shallower water.